The first thing people do when they want to make homemade pasta is get into their car and drive all over town searching for 00 flour. Well, as it turns out, you don't need to do that. You could simply use the bread flour. When it comes to pasta making, there is an awful lot of confusion about different types of dough and different types of flour, and today we're going to talk about all of that. Let's get some basics out of the way. There are two major groups of pasta. The first group is the sheet pasta. It is made with eggs and powdery flour, stuff that looks like this. These sheets are used for cutting into ribbons like pappardelle. They're also used for filled shapes like ravioli and tortellini, and layering with sauce for lasagna. The second group is extruded and hand-shaped pasta. This group includes shapes like cavatelli, orecchiette, picci, trofie, etc. It is made with water and durum flour, stuff like this. These two worlds of pasta are completely distinct and they don't overlap. Without the eggs, the sheet pasta comes out as a flabby mush. Sheet pasta needs eggs to give it structural integrity because it's rolled so thinly. But eggs are your enemy when making hand shapes. If you replace water with eggs when making, say, cavatelli, you'll get unchewable pieces of rubber. So far, I've tested 4 different flour types for the egg pasta: King Arthur unbleached all-purpose, Caputo 00 chef's flour, Caputo 00 pasta gnocchi flour, and King Arthur bread flour. King Arthur unbleached all-purpose made very decent pasta. The only thing that bothered me about it was that it didn't have a chewy stage. When I cooked it, it went from firm to soft with no soft but chewy stage in between. Trying 00 chef's flour, available in most stores in Boston, didn't solve that problem. Many American food writers claim that it produces a more silky pasta than the all-purpose flour, though it's hard to tell which exact 00 flour they're referring to since they never mention it. To me, 00 chef's flour pasta didn't taste silky as much as flabby. This pasta turned soft very fast, and I could never catch a soft but chewy stage with it. What finally gave me the texture I was looking for was Caputo 00 pasta gnocchi flour that I found on Amazon. This flour produced pasta with a nice, resilient chew. For a few years, this was my gold standard for egg pasta, and that's what I recommended you buy in my 2019 video on egg pasta. Unfortunately, this flour is not available in any stores in my area, and it's ridiculously expensive on Amazon. So one day, Tammy Battesoni left me a comment asking if it's possible to use bread flour for pasta. I didn't know, so I decided to try it. And guess what? It produced delightful chewy pasta. I tasted it side by side with the pasta made with Caputo 00 pasta flour, and neither I nor anyone in my family could tell the difference. Since King Arthur bread flour is so much cheaper and easier to get than 00 pasta flour, I think it's wonderful that it produces such great results. Tammy, if you're watching this, a huge thank you for your comment that led me to this discovery. At first, the results I got from these 4 flours made perfect sense to me. The higher the protein content, the chewier the pasta. Caputo 00 chef's flour doesn't list its protein content on the bag, so I googled for it. According to brickovenbaker.com, an online distributor of Caputo products, it's a whopping 13.5%. According to Kenji Lopez-Alt, it's 12.5%. This kind of throws a monkey wrench into my nice little theory that the higher the protein content, the chewier the pasta. This flour produced the flabbiest results of them all. Of course, I doubt any of the people reporting these numbers have done any lab testing on these flours. They are probably just reporting what the Caputo company is telling them, and that's where it gets even more hairy. The geekiest treatise on flour that I was able to find so far was from Jenny and Marcia De Angelis. I'll link to it in the description below. They explain that comparing the protein content of European and American flour is like comparing apples and oranges. They give France as an example. In France, the ash and protein content are calculated as a percentage of dry matter only, while in the United States and Canada, they are calculated on a basis of 14% flour humidity. Yes, it makes my head hurt too. Luckily, the Angelus report offers a nice little table that converts French protein content into American protein content. For example, 13.5% protein content in France is the same as 11.3% protein content in the US. Of course, I have no idea if the measurements on the Italian flour are done the same way as the measurements on the French flour. I also don't know if Caputo is reporting their protein content in Italian measurements or if they are converting their protein content to American measurement for the American market. All of this is one big mystery. But based on the 00 chef's flour behavior, my guess is that it has the lowest protein content of all the flours that I've tried to use for egg pasta. Here is another interesting thing I've learned from the Angelus explanation. It is somewhat misleading to say the 00 flour is ground finer than American flour. It is the ash content that differentiates Italian flours, not the grind. The way the ash content is measured is by burning the flour and measuring how much ash is left. The more ash is left, the more bran, germ, and outer endosperm the flour contains. So 00 flour is the flour that contains the least amount of bran, germ, and outer endosperm. It's as opposite of whole wheat flour as you can get in Italy. If you think the confusion stops there, no, it does not. Consider this term listed on Caputo's chef's flour, soft wheat. This is a translation of the Italian term grano tenero. In Italy, this refers to wheat varieties that are not durum. The problem is that it might not be the same as what we in the US call soft wheat, which is low protein wheat. I know many of you think of my channel as science-minded, so let me come clean on all my biases. I am not a food science theorist. What interests me the most is the empirical evidence that I can taste. If I can corroborate it with some theoretical explanation, that's great. In this case, unfortunately, I can't. I also apologize for everything I've mispronounced in Italian and all the flour terminology I might have gotten wrong. I'll list my sources in the description below. If you have any corrections, I'd love to hear them. But if you want me to take those corrections seriously, please list your sources. But all the theory aside, I loved the egg pasta bread flour produced, and if you try it, I'd love to hear what you think. Now let's move on to water-based pasta. I tried using the bread flour for it instead of durum, but the results were nothing to write home about. It worked okay and produced slightly chewier results than all-purpose, but not nearly as good as durum flour. Like all Italian flour products, durum flour has its share of terminology confusion in the US. By the way, the reason that I am now aware of it is a comment from Adam Churvis. Thanks, Adam. Pretty much any grind of durum wheat is labeled semolina in the US. This can be very confusing because in Italy, semolina refers to coarsely ground durum wheat and semola rimacinata refers to finely ground durum wheat. The one you want for water-based pasta is the finely ground type. If you see the words semola rimacinata on the package, it's the right stuff, even if it has the word semolina on the package too. If semola rimacinata is nowhere to be found on the package, the flour will likely be too coarse for pasta. I hope this video will help you spend less time searching for the right flour and more time making good pasta. Here are more thought-provoking culinary videos for you to check out, and a link to my online classes is in the description below.